Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be learning how to draft and also the sewing process of this beautiful Basque gown with a keyhole neckline. If that's what you want to watch, then keep watching this video till the very end. Welcome to Amen Clothing YouTube channel, where we teach you how to use patterns to create unlimited design. So if that's what you want to see, without further ado, then let's head straight to this particular tutorial. So first, you'll be needing your basic bodice front. You have your bust line, under bust, waistline, and of course your hip line all the way to the hem, from your shoulder to wherever length you want it to stop. So do not think this dress has to be short always. If it's long, it's also going to be beautiful and nice. So now the first thing I'm doing is to draw in the tube line. So this is like a keyhole neckline attached to a tube. So first we want to get the tube before the keyhole neckline effect. So this is me drawing out the tube and my body. So this is what it looks like. Okay. So now I'm getting my sleeve. The reason why I'm doing this is because this design, the keyhole neckline, is an off shoulder, but then the sleeve started from the shoulder. So I want to get how many measurements of my cap sleeve that we are going to gather so it sits nice on the shoulder while sewing. Now you want to mark, all right? You want to get how many, the exact measurement of the cap sleeve, so that when we gather it into that very particular measurement. That is the reason why I'm attaching this cap sleeve to this very part. So now I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches from the tip of my shoulder the way down like so. So I'm going to be making it visible on that cap sleeve part. I'm trying to get the keyhole neckline now. And from the 1.5 inches, you're going to be marking either 1.2 inches or 1.5 inches as the case may be. As you're drafting the pattern, you're going to be seeing the effect on the pattern. Whatever it looks like is what is going to be when you sew it. So you should know the distance you're going to leave, 1.5 and 2 inches. That should be okay. So you see this very line, that is the amount of gather. No matter how wide our gathers is, no matter the kind of fullness we have, that is how we are going to be imputing it. So this is the length of your gather, or how much gather you should have, so that it sits on your shoulder and not move away, because the sleeve is not an off shoulder. So I'm detaching this lower part of it, and we'll set that aside while we work on the upper part of it. We haven't done this now. What we are going to do is to remove our sleeve so we can work on the upper bodice proper. So while I've taken off my sleeve now, and I'm going to be, from that first 1.5 inches we took from the tip of the shoulder, I'm going to be making this line to join that tube line that we drew first. Then the second one also, you want to come in by ½ inch and then connect the second one to the ½ inch, like so. I hope that is quite understandable. If you have any questions, just drop it in the comment section. But I'm trying my best to see that I explain this the best way that you guys will understand it. So now I'm going to use my marker to make it visible so you guys can see clearly all the stuffs going on here. And this is it right now. At this point, this is what we have. So there's a lot of cutouts going on here, a lot of opening, a lot of keyhole and all that. It would be nice if we contour our neckline so that we don't have any gapping effect when we put on this dress, so that nothing is gapping. Now I'm going ahead now to contour my neckline. If you do not know what contouring the neckline is, the contour neckline is all about, drop a comment in the comment section and I'll link you to a tutorial that will explain all the contour guidelines to you so you understand them properly. So this is me imputing my neckline contour guide. Okay, and I'm marking in the darts for the neckline contour guide. Going ahead to impute this. Like I said, the reason for the neckline contour darts is so that we do not have anywhere gapping. Of course, we have keyhole, and also our neckline is also deep, so we do not want anything to gap. Okay, hence we have to contour the neckline so everything is closely fitted when we put it on. Now I'm going ahead to impute my underbust contour. Of course, you should be used to this if you've been following my channel, but if you don't know what it is, also drop a comment in the comment section and I'll link you to the video that has the whole contour guideline properly explained, so you will understand which contour guideline should come in when you're drafting your pattern. So I'm doing the underbust contour guideline right now. Do not worry, I'll go ahead to rephrase on all the lines. Actually, I found out that these lines weren't visible, but then I was done filming. But then I'll go ahead to explain so you guys will understand. Now remember we want a princess seam, and of course it's a shoulder princess seam. So from the tip of my shoulder, I'm marking the half of it, on my shoulder slope, sorry, my shoulder line, I'm marking the half of it, and I'll connect it to my bust point. So that line represents our shoulder princess seam. I'm also trying to make it visible enough so you guys can see the line. So this line now represents my shoulder princess seam. I hope it's kind of clear right now. So I'm going ahead to explain all the contour guideline. Of course, the under bust and the waistline. So the next thing we're going to do now is to open up our side bust dart, like so. We are trying to create the shoulder princess seam now. So having opened up the side bust dart, we'll cut the star line for the shoulder princess seam. Open. And having done that, we'll transfer the dart excess of the side bust dart to the shoulder where we cut the star line of the princess seam, shoulder princess seam. So I'm going to have to tape it down like so. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification icon so you'll be the very first person to know when I post lovely and interesting tutorials like this. So now this is what we're having at this very point. Remember there are some contour darts that we haven't taken off, the neckline contour dart, and of course the underbust contour dart. So now I'm going to be detaching that tube part of this design, like so. I've detached the tube part and this is what it looks like. So this very part now, remember the neckline contour dart went into this place. I'm going to use a marker to dot it out so you guys can see the dart. All this dotted part is the neckline contour dart that went into this area, and we are going to be closing it up right now. So I'm going ahead to take it out so I can tape this very pattern together. Having taken it out now, I'll go ahead and tape the pattern together like so. And then also I'll go ahead to join the rest of it like so. So I'm going to have to tape it down like so. And yes, this has formed a hole without any joining. And we have everything we want in place. So now I'll cut out the excess and we're going to be left with the particular style line that we want. So now I'm going to cut out the excess. And this is what we are left with, all right? Should look like this. So now I went ahead to refreeze so you guys do not get confused. This is what this whole thing looks like. When you attach that very part, we're going to be closing this. Of course, there is another neckline contour that went in here at the lower part of it. We'll also go ahead to close it up. And I'm just trying to rephrase so you guys do not get confused. So now we're going ahead to set this aside while I work on this lower part. I'm cutting away the underbust contour dart now, all the way to this point like so. And also I'm going ahead to cut out this part. And of course the neckline contour that went into this very part, we'll go ahead to close it up. So this is what it looks like right now. And I'll go ahead to remove the pointy part of my princess seam. So we remove the very ugly effect of that pointy part. We do not want it. So we're going to have to shapen it out like so from here. And this is what this very particular pattern looks like right now. Okay. And this is the keyhole neckline part of it. Like I said, the keyhole neckline is an off shoulder, but then the sleeve is what is going to sit on your shoulder. That was why we had to get that very part then. So this is basically what you should be having as your pattern. Can you see what it looks like? So this is what you should be having as your pattern. Remember, we're going to be slashing and spreading the sleeve, all right? But we'll do that later in the tutorial as we go on. So now moving over to the lower part of it that has the basque effect. You want to go on from this very tip all the way to your hip line or wherever you want the basque effect to start. Wherever you feel is the best for your kind of shape, the kind of body shape you have. But do not go anything below your hip line. Do not go below your hip line, okay? Do not go below your hip line. So now this is what it looks like. I actually found out that from the design we are creating, their basque effect started, I think 3 inches after the waistline. But that's fine. If you want to start yours 3 inches after the waistline, that is okay. If you want to start it from the very tip of the waistline, that is okay. So whatever you want to do, that's fine. Now you cut out the dart, and of course you're going to be cutting the star line of the basque effect. If you're using a fabric that you do not want to sew up that, you can decide to eliminate the dart from the side. So now I'm drawing my line for the gathers we are going to be adding to the lower part of it. Okay, I'm drawing in my lines for the gathers we are going to be adding to the lower part of it. It will also interest you to know that this fabric is actually a thick one, something that can stand. So do not go and use crepe, will not be nice for this. Do not go and use crepe to sew this, except you have a strong crepe that is not stretching. That's what's going to be nice for this, but do not use crepe for this. We'll go ahead to slash and spread that pattern later as we go on in this tutorial. So you see how to slash and spread it. So you do not have one side short and one side long. Everything is in alignment. Now this is the back. I detached the lower part of the back. And the next thing I'm going to do is to determine where I want my neckline to start from. Remember, it is the sleeve that is going to sit on your shoulder, right? So I used 1.5. Obviously, it should be same with that of the back. If you're a beginner, except if you're a pro, you can decide to lower the back more. But if you're a beginner, please let it be the same with the back. Or I think generally it should be the same. Whatever you took away from the front should be the same thing with what you're taking away from the back. So I came down by 3 inches from my shoulder and I squared the line. Now on that line I squared, I'm going to be getting my bust apart measurement, which some of you call nipple to nipple. On that line that I squared, which I've marked now. And from that very point, I'm going to be joining that line to my waist dart to create a new dart. This is also a form of contour for the back. Okay, this is also a form of contour for the back. So I've created a new dart like so. Now the next thing we are going to do is to draw in our neckline for the back the way we want it to be. And that is what I'm doing right now. I'll use my marker to make it visible so you guys can see it clearly. So this is what it looks like. And of course, we'll go ahead to cut off that part. So that very neckline contour didn't get to the tip of the neckline. So we'll have to just extend it to that part. Now this is where you have to put in keen interest. From the very center of the sleeve, which is at the tip of your shoulder, you want to mark to show that this is how much you should gather. If you do not take these measurements from the front to the back, you probably might gather more than enough and your sleeve will not sit tightly on your shoulder, or your sleeve will be gapping, or it will be too small for you. So you have to take the measurement from the basic sleeve so that when you gather, as you're gathering, remember the sleeve is gathered. As you're gathering, you use the measurement to cross-check to make sure that everything is in place. That is the reason why we need the sleeve at this very point. And obviously that is all I'm doing right now. So I hope that is well explained. Then I'll go ahead to take off the sleeve. Okay. So I'm still explaining, you have to take the measurement. That is all I'm explaining now. And I'm going to be cutting off the neckline like so. And then the next thing we are going to do is to remove the dart. So this is what it looks like for the pattern of the back. This is all you have to do for the back pattern. This is all for the back pattern. Remember the way the basque effect is for the front, that is the way it's going to be for the back. But I'll go ahead to still do it again for those of you that do not understand. While I was drafting that on the back, I'll go ahead to do it again. Sorry, while I was drafting that on the front, I'll do it again for the back so you guys will follow. Now, same thing we did, I'm going to be removing my dart. Like I said, if you don't want to sew up your dart, you can eliminate it from the side. And I also want to lay another emphasis on the kind of fabric you're to use for this design. A fabric that is stiff. Is it stiff? Something that is not stretchy. A fabric that can stand because of the gather. So when you gather it, will stand. Not something that is gonna, when you gather it, it will fall. Like a stretchy crepe or lycra, whatever. Just make sure your fabric is something that when you gather it, it will stand. It's going to help bring out the beauty of this design. So now, same thing that we did to the front, that is what we're doing to the back. I'm going to be cutting this like so. And of course, we'll draw our gathered star line. We're going to be drawing star line where we are going to be slashing and spreading for the gathers on this. So having done that, this is what we're having for the back, and I'll set it aside. So now we're going to be slashing and spreading the sleeve. Please, you want to pay close attention to what I'm doing now. I'm drawing in my star lines. Okay, I'm drawing my star lines. There is no exact measurement for this. Now I found out that the sleeve is long. Remember this one, the sleeve for the very particular one we are recreating stopped at the upper round arm. So you also want us to stop that, except you have more than enough fabric. But I think this is perfect. Upper round arm is perfect for it. It's going to give the design a very beautiful look. So I had to reduce my sleeve, and then I went ahead to draw in the star line for the slash and spread. You want to stay and watch the way I'm going to slash and spread the sleeve. Remember, the sleeve is gathered up and down. So now this is the way I gathered the basque, or the gathered for the lower part of it. Having spreaded my fabric on a fresh pattern paper, you're going to be drawing this line like so. If you have a very straight ruler that will go in once, that is better. So you have to be drawing the line like so. See the way I set the patterns on the fresh pattern paper. This is going to help so that one side is no longer than the other side. Everything is equal and still having the basque effect. I also added an additional ½ inch to the side. It must not really be ½ inch, yours can be 1 inch, just to make sure that, it's not having that pencil effect look. It's okay. So this is what we are having. Remember, you're cutting the center front on fold. Now let's go back to the sleeve while I slash and spread it on a fresh pattern paper. You want to start cutting up the sleeve and placing them just like we did to the lower bodies, okay? Now I've cut the sleeve and I've placed them. Because you want a puff sleeve, this is what you're going to do. From your center line, you're going to go up by 1.5 inches, depending on how puff you want the center to look. I went on by 1.5 inches, and you're going to be deciding where to stop. I'm going to be stopping at 3 inches like so. So I'm going to be making this line the curve like so, from that 1.5 inches all the way to this very point. Now this very extra at the top is going to help your puff sleeve to be, for the puff to come out well at the shoulder area. Your puff sleeve is going to be very prominent and obvious at the shoulder area, okay? That's the essence why we added that. So having done that, now I'm going ahead to cut it out like so. And I'm also going to be gathering this so you guys can see what it looks like. So for the hem, we're going ahead to cut it out just like this. And this is what it looks like. So you also want to make that part visible, all right? Now remember that we have gathered on it and you already have your measurements down. We gathered on it and you already have your measurement down. So as you're gathering your sleeve, be conscious of the measurements you wrote down when the sleeve was still in its basic form, because that is the measurement you're going to be gathering into. I hope that's clear. So now I went ahead to recheck the measurement only on the white pattern because it's our basic. The blue is the added fullness. You don't want it. Only on the white pattern because it's the basic. The blue is the added fullness. But if you've taken the measurement previously, there's no need for doing this again. If you've had the measurement previously, there's no need for going in again, except if you want to be very sure. But if you've taken it previously, then you're good to go. So now you want to form your gather. Consider your shoulder line, which is the very center of your sleeve. Please consider your center sleeve, right? So now you want to gather. Make sure you gather from the side to the center. Please make sure you're gathering from side to the center. Yes, like you're pulling this all the way to the center. All right. I'm using paper here, so it's kind of difficult for me to make sure you're pulling from the side to the center. Of course, when you run your gathered stitch, pull the thread from the right to the center and from the left of the back to the center. Everything is coming towards the center. So when you gather, you check the measurement for the front. If it's in line, you run your stitch on it and secure it, okay? Same thing you do to the back. When you gather, if the measurement tallies with what you had previously, you run your stitch on it and secure it before attaching it to the main bodice. So right now, that is what I'm trying to do here so you guys can understand properly. I hope I've explained well. If you have any comments, leave it in the comment section, but I want to believe I've explained exhaustively where you guys will understand. So right now I'm using my tape to hold this. So once I've checked and it's on that 1.4 inches line, of course I'll use my cello tape and hold it down. So once you've pulled your gather thread and it's in line with your previous measurement, you want to run a stitch on it to secure it. Same thing you'll do also for the back. And you're going to see the beautiful effect of that very extra 1.5 inches we added to the cap sleeve as we go on in this tutorial. I've done that on the front. Also go ahead and work on the back. Can you see the standing effect? That is what you're going to have on your fabric. Like it's going to give that very upper standing effect when you add that additional 1.5 inches. Like I said, the more you add, the more pointy or the more puffy the shoulder sleeve is going to. The sleeve or the part of the shoulder is going to be, please. So now heading over to the lower part of it, you want to close up your dart like so. Remember this is center front, so you're going to be cutting it on fold. Okay, you're going to be cutting your center front on fold. And I'll go ahead to sew up the dart, alright? So that's what you should do. If you do not eliminate the dart by the side, you should firstly sew up your dart. And having sewed up your dart, the next thing you do now is to get your lower part. Of course, also you should cut on fold. The center front should be cut on fold, which is this very part now. You want to cut it on fold. I'm trying to use marker to, highlight the whole part of it. You're cutting the center front on fold. I'm highlighting so you guys will see it clearly because I really don't know. I think the light is so bright today. Maybe I'll have to reduce it next time. So that's why I'm really highlighting so you guys can see everything I'm doing clearly. Okay. I'm taping this whole place down. So having done that now, you're going to be gathering this on this part. So you already have a measurement, something to help you guide you through the gathering. Okay. So you're going to be gathering it to fill in this very slanted part of the upper part. So that's going to help you. Remember you're cutting on fold, so you have to gather to fill in that part. And the more fullness you have, the more gathers and the more fullness you'll be having on your dress. So that is it. Same thing you did here is what you're also going to do at the back. Thanks for watching. Bye.